Boys, tomato sauce in here, and I have the official, the ultimate Wrath of the Lich King Protection Warrior Guide coming at you tonight. All right? We're going to go over talents. We're going to go over glyphs. We're going to go over rotation. We're going to go over gearing. And lastly, we're going to go over macros. The Fab Five coming at you live tonight. Wrath of the Lich King Classic. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you enjoy the content, I'm going to need you to hit that sub button. Doesn't cost you anything. Helps me out with YouTube's algorithms. Leave a comment. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to say it again. And at the end of the day, you're going to get more cool content coming your way. So here we go. Protection Warrior in Wrath of the Lich King Classic. We're going to take a little whiskey break, because it's been a long day at work, all right? And I'm bringing this content to you guys. To you, for you, from me, to you. We're not at gearing yet. Let's start out with talents. This is Wrath of the Lich King, Phase 1, Protection Warrior, right? We all have a protection off-spec right now. If you don't, you're not a team player. At the end of the day, if your guild is nice enough to let you play arms or play fury in the 25-man raid, one of the courtesies we give back to the guild is to have this protection off spec so that we can tank heroics and we can tank Nax Ramus 10-man runs, and you know, the I 10-man and the Obsidian Sanctum 10-man, right? You want to be an Obsidian Slayer? You need a protection warrior for that. All right. So this is the talent breakdown. We're going to start in the protection tree. We're going 5 out of 5 shield specialization. Shield Slam is your #1 threat generating ability. Every point in this tree, maybe not every point, many points in this tree are made to make you block more and shield slam harder. This is one of those talents. So we're going to increase our chance to block attacks with a shield by 5%. And it has a 100% chance to generate 5 rage when a block, dodge, or parry occurs. You're always rage capped in this spec. It's absolutely beautiful. This is going to take us over to 3 out of 3 improved Thunderclap. Just 30% more damage for our Thunderclap ability. And we're going to increase our slowing effect by an additional 10%. Brings us down to Incite. 15% critical strike. You know this from the Arms Warrior tree. For your Heroic Strike, your Thunderclap, and your Cleave abilities. 15% more critical strike. Absolutely massive. We take this. Anticipation increases your dodge chance by 5%. This is some built-in mitigation. We're dodging. You take that. 5 out of 5. Last Stand, an incredible cooldown. What this does is it gives you temporarily 30% of your maximum health for 20 seconds. I have over 40,000 health when I pop this. It's absolutely wild. Great cooldown. You ain't dying on Patchworks and Rage Phase. Matter of fact, he doesn't even do damage to you in 25, man, let alone when you have the Last Stand popped. You're chilling. Excuse me. We're going to go right into Improve Revenge. This increases the damage of your Revenge ability, which, as you know, absolutely hits like a truck. But another thing that you know, we don't play Revenge PROT. I'm going to let you know this is a 51, 53-point protection tree. Revenge PROT, you're a dweeb, be a real prot paladin, okay? Revenge PROT, if you're solo farming in Botanica, anything else besides that, you play full PROT, all right? More threat, you get the AoE stun, your boys are happy, you play full PROT. So we go from these 2 out of 2 improved revenge talents, and we go right into Shield Mastery, right? Increases your block value by 30%. And reduces the cooldown of your shield block ability by 20 seconds. Now, why is this so cool? Because shield block and shield slam have a built-in synergy. So every 40 seconds, you get 6 seconds, 2 to maybe even 3 shield slams that are just absolutely cracking. I'm talking 10K shield slams when shield blocks up. Shield Mastery is an absolute must-have. You take both of these points in that talent. Then we go into Toughness. We are absolutely so tough already, but if you had a talent named Toughness, why wouldn't you take 5 out of 5 in it, right? You increase your armor value from items by 10%, which is going to give you attack power because you remember what's in the Fury tree. And then it also reduces the duration of all movement slowing effects by 30%. That's what's nice about being protection in a battleground, right? This is also a dope PvP spec because you go into a battleground with this and warriors, oh, we hate getting slowed. You're getting slowed 30% less. And on top of that, you got 2 charges and an intervene. You ain't getting kited as a protection warrior anywhere. But we're talking PvE right now. We still 5 out of 5 this. Now you come down to concussion blow. We're going to skip this whole row. This is what I call the PvP row. I said it in my pre-patch video. I take improved spell reflection and improved disarm in PvP. But since we're not talking about PvP, we're dropping down. We're going right into concussion blow. Boom. We take this. Really nice in dungeons. Really nice for raid trash. Just an extra 5-second stun. Does a little damage there too. Gag order. If you kick a spell, it's going to silence that enemy for 3 seconds. So that's nice for trash. But really, why you're taking this is because it increases the damage of your shield slam ability by 10%. And everything we do in this tree is to get bigger shield slams, which give you more threat and make sure your boys ain't pulling off you. Shield slam is your number 1 threat generating ability. Anywhere you can buff this ability, you take those points. One-handed weapon specialization increases the physical damage you deal when a one-handed melee weapon is equipped by 10%. Boom, right into those shield slams. This is going to take us down to vigilance. This is really nice. You're going to put this on the highest threat producing person in your raid, and it's going to transfer some of the threat, 15% of their threat to you, and in turn, you're going to reduce their damage taken by 3%. It lasts 30 minutes. It's a nice little spell to have. Just gives you extra threat. Then we go into improved defensive stance. While in defensive stance, all spell damage is reduced by 6%. Oh no, spell damage is supposed to be our big weakness. You're taking 6% less of that with improved defensive stance. And then on top of that, every time you block, dodge, or parry, you become enraged. So you're doing 10% extra physical damage for 12 seconds. I'm going to let you know for free, that's always up. You're super mad, you're cracking for 10% harder shield slams 24/7, 365 days of the week. Now, I take 2 out of 3 focused rage. Some people don't put anything in focused rage. In a raid, you could probably take these points out, drop them into improved disciplines, then you get shield wall and recklessness up more. But I didn't find myself needing improved disciplines, and I just like having a ton of rage, so I threw 2 out of 3 in focused rage. But again, these are like flex points. Then you go down to vitality. It increases your total strength by 6%, huge. Stamina by 9%, huge. And your expertise by 6%. Mega, right? Vitality is an incredible talent. We take this. Then we're going down to Warbringer. This is the coolest talent in protection in Wrath of the Lich King, boys. Charge, intercept, and intervene. All 3 of these abilities are usable in defensive stance. We don't have to stance dance. Unbind the stance dances from your PROT warrior unless you're popping a retaliation. Outside of that, and we'll get to that in my macros, outside of retaliation, you don't even have to leave, right? You're chilling. You're absolutely chilling like a villain in defensive stance. Takes us down to Devastate. This is incredible. It has great synergy with the Glyph of Devastate, which just means we stack Sunder Armor to 5 that much faster. Every time you crack Devastate, boom, 2 stacks of Sunder Armor. These dudes are always taking the maximum amount of Sunder effect, right, on their armor, debuffing their armor for all your melees. Your melees are going to love having a PROT warrior in the raid because that means the arms warrior doesn't really have to Sunder outside of the first GCD of the fight, and the rogue doesn't have to expose. So PROT warriors, your stock is going up because other people are lazy. And you do pretty damn good damage, to be honest with you. Critical block. Again, this is going to buff your shield slam ability. Your successful blocks have a 60% chance to block double the normal amount. And they increase your chance to critically hit with your shield slam ability by an additional 15%. So you're getting critical block and you're getting 15% for shield slam. Absolutely out of this world. Of course we take you. Sword and board, 3 out of 3. increases the critical strike chance of your devastate ability by 15%. And when your devastate or revenge ability deals damage, it has a 30% chance of refreshing the cooldown of your what? Of your who? Of your shield slam ability. Again, anything that buffs shield slam, anything that gives us more shield slams, we absolutely take in this tree. We take sword and board, 3 out of 3. Damage shield. This is actually super funny against rogues. I play a rogue, right? Damage shield is hilarious because if a rogue opens on you when you're in PROT, PvP, or PvE spec, these fast-hitting dopes kill themselves on your damage shield. It's the funniest thing in the world. Hit them with the 10k shield slam for good measure, but damage shield, awesome for just a little extra threat. Really awesome for PvP. I always take this. There's not a scenario that I don't take damage shield. Shockwave. The piece de la resistance sends a wave of force in front of the warrior, causing 2082 damage based on attack power. That means it's going to hit way harder, and it stuns every enemy within the cone, right? So they're getting a 3-second stun when you hit them with this shockwave. Now, that's only 53 points. You had a couple flex points there. Dealer's choice. Safeguard is awesome for PvP. You can move them down there. Reduces damage taken by the target of your intervene ability. This goes up to, I think, 30%. So at that point, you're giving somebody a 30% wall for 6 seconds every 30 seconds. Super good in arena. Really nice in battlegrounds if you're queuing pre-mades with your boys. But let's hop into the Fury tree because we're talking PvE. We only dropped 3 talents here, 3 talent points. And you already knew it was armored to the teeth from when I was talking so big on toughness. Just an incredible synergy, right? We're already PROT warriors. We have all plate. We rock shields. Our armor is through the roof. Give us the attack power, right? Let's respect that armor and get 100 or get 3 attack power for every 108 armor that we have. So we're 100% taking armor to the teeth. Now we go into the arms tree. And the arms tree, boys, is a nice tree. We get some cool stuff here. Rogues absolutely love you for what we have in this tree. Little whiskey break. We got Improve Heroic Strike, 2 out of 3. This is going to reduce the cost of our Heroic Strike by 2 points. I don't 3 out of 3 this because I don't have enough points to do that. Deflection increases your parry chance by 5%. This is just some extra mitigation. Super nice on patchwork, wherever. You always take this. Then I go 3 out of 3 Tactical Mastery for those rare times that I swap stances. You could really move this into Iron Will, but if I decide to retaliate with a full rage bar, you know, I want to have some rage left over with Tac Mastery. Then I go into Impale. Impale is going to increase your critical strike damage bonus by 20%. So when your shield slams crit, bada bing, bada boom, 20% more damage, cracking them in the teeth. And then Deep Wounds. Your critical strikes cause the opponent to bleed, dealing 48% of your melee weapons average damage over 6 seconds. So Deep Wounds is dope because it's just more damage, more threat, and assassination rogues. When you crit, they're not going to have to put up Rupture, you know, or any of that nonsense to get their Hunger for Blood proc going or buff going. They're just going to get 8% extra damage all throughout the fight, and they're never going to have to press Rupture, which means they get more Envenoms. So they're super stoked, right? They love PROT warriors. I love PROT warriors. I love playing PROT warrior. But let's go to the glyphs and let's see what's the rug, right? What's the beautiful rug tying the room together like the dude, all right? Our first glyph of vigilance, right? So the vigilance ability that was only transferring 3% of the threat from the target to you has a beautiful synergy here because this is going to take 5% more of that target's threat. So you vigilance a warlock. These dopes never hit shatter anyway. You take 8% of their threat instead of the 3%, and you know you're happy, they're happy. Maybe they accidentally trip and fall on their shatter button, but probably not. Don't bank on a warlock to shatter. Hit them with vigilance, and that'll help you out and help them out in the process. Next is Glyph of Blocking. This increases your block value by 10% for 10 seconds after using your Shield Slam ability. But your Shield Slam ability is only on a 6-second cooldown, so this is actually going to buff your follow-up Shield Slam abilities. Now, on top of it only being on a 6-second cooldown, it gets reset all the time by blocking, dodging, or parrying. So you're just going to have buff shield slams coming out over and over and over again. It's actually absurd. Shield slamming on a warrior in Wrath of the Lich King is one of the most fun things that you can do in this game. No cap, as the kids say. Now, Glyph of Devastate. This is what I was talking about earlier. Your Devastate now applies 2 stacks of Sunder armor. To me, it's mandatory in a raid, in a heroic dungeon, anywhere that you want to stack Sunders. It feels way better hitting Devastate 3 times than having to hit it 5 straight times, right? Really, maybe you only have to hit it 2 times if there's another warrior in your group because they Sunder first GCD, right? Right? Now, for minor glyphs, I use Glyph of Command just to keep the health buff up a little longer. Glyph of Charge because I still love this glyph. It increases the range of your charge ability by 5 yards, gives you more mobility. And I use Glyph of Blood Rage because I don't like losing health when I press Blood Rage, and I press that on cooldown. You can see it's even got a little macro there, so I'm actually macroing abilities into that. Let's go into our gearing. So gearing a Prot Warrior is actually super chill in Phase 1 Wrath of the Lich King. A lot of classes have to chase their 4 set. Protection Warrior really does not. So let's take a look at what we have as our set bonus for Prot Warrior, right? So we are increasing the damage of our shield slam by 10%, and then we're increasing the duration of our shield wall by 3%, or excuse me, by 3 seconds. Now, that 4-piece looks good, but it's really not that great. So you don't have to chase the 4-piece. There's some really good itemized pieces out there for you. And if you're kind of playing protection on a budget like me, you know, because I went all in on arms, obviously, you know, 2 set will get you where you want to go. At the end of the day, you're really just trying to buff that shield slam ability. But let's go through my gear piece by piece, and I'll show you how I've geared my Protection Warrior, and I've tanked everything in the game at this point. So I'm going with the engineering goggles because I leveled my engineering on both of my characters. You know, if you've watched my videos, I do the same 2 professions on every character, mining and engineering. That's how I play this game. I love mining, and I absolutely love how it synergizes with the engineering profession. So that's what I rock on all my characters. Now, for your meta gem, you're going to run the 32 stamina, 2% increased armor meta gem. This is super nice. Synergizes with your armor to the teeth, talent, and fury, and it just gives you a larger stamina pool. This is going to require 2 blue gems and 1 red gem. So how are we hitting that requirement? Let's look through, right? You're going to see we hit the chain military gorget. This is just a badge item. It's 25 badges, but it's actually a super nice trinket. So getting hit on a protection warrior as you're gearing up in pre-grade bis is pretty tough, but this necklace gives you 21 of it. So that's really sick. Then I took these WOTLK Spalders of Solidarity. These are, or they were, when I actually got super lucky with these. I did not have to buy these. These were like 3,000 gold on the auction house. Yeah, you can see my market price right here. I can't scroll down, but you can see it in my add-on. The market price right now is 2,700 gold on Sulfurous Horde. I got these dropped in, I think, one of the Utgard dungeons. It was really lucky. It was a 5-stack with my friends, so obviously they just gave them to me because I was complaining that I was still running brutal shoulders on my protection set. But these are awesome. If you can afford them, buy them off the auction house. Otherwise, just wait and grab tier. Next is the Deadly Gladiator's Cloak of Victory. Wait, no, I don't need this. Sorry, I used the Platinum Mesh Cloak. I messed up there. That's my bad. As I said, right? It's very difficult to get hit on a protection warrior. My item rack must have actually saved the wrong cloak, which is an add-on that I'll go into in a future video. But the Platinum Mesh Cloak is awesome. It's 25 raid badges, so it is a little bit pricey, but it gives you hit, it gives you defense, it gives you dodge, and I enchant it with the Flex Weave Underlay from Engineering because it's the BIS enchant, right? Now from here, I'm just rocking the badge chest. I just spent badges on the chest so I would have a better chest. I was in brutal gear when I decided I was going to tank still. So I, you know, defense, dodge, shield block, all good things. You absolutely want this. because it's buffing your shield slam. So anywhere you can get your shield block rating up, you know, where you're not sacrificing other stats, you're absolutely going to take that. And as you can see, I have 2 blue gems here, you know, 1 blue, 1 purple. So I'm hitting my my helmet requirements above. Now you come down to bracers. Ancanet in the Old Kingdom is going to give you your bracers for pre-bis. I'm just using bracers of the Herald in Nax 10 now. If I got an upgrade there or in Nax 25, right, I would equip those. That's where you can see I just have a super budget enchant on them. I didn't drop like the big stamina enchant on these because they're not that great. I feel like I had other bracers. I did. I got these out of Nax Trash. So my item rack is just not saved at all. So I'm rocking minion bracers, actually. These are like a side grade to the other ones, but they had dodge and parry rating on there. So I went with the double avoidance stats over the straight defense. And I hit it with a 40 stamina enchant. So I knew that I hit a big stamina somewhere. And here's where I hit my 2-piece. I'm just using the Hero's Dreadnought handguards, where you get defense, parry, and expertise, and then we throw more expertise in there. You can see there's kind of a constant where I'm gemming expertise and stamina anywhere that I can fit it in those gem slots. It's because you don't want to get blocked or dodged as a protection warrior or parried, right? So expertise is super important. Hit is super important. I just try to get the hit up around 260-ish. I think it's 264 for 8%. I'm not quite there yet, but soon. And the expertise, I get up as high as I can over 6. So I think 6% is the expertise soft cap, somewhere around there. So yeah, I'm in a pretty good spot. I don't get, you know, dodge, block, parried, or miss very often. Then I have these garbage leggings from the Oculus, but they have hit and defense on them. So there's only one other pre-raid item that's better than these. It's a purple one with the exact same stats, just a little bit better. You can see I threw the budget enchant on there, as well as a hit gem in there to get me closer to the hit rating. The purple legs of the same stat priority, but larger values actually come out of Violet Hold. So if you're on your protection warrior, you don't have these leggings yet, just go to Violet Hold every day and you'll eventually get those purples. Or just hang tight until you get the legs at a Nax. Then Sabatons of the Draconic Vigor. Again, it's just hit and defense. I just want to get hit anywhere I can absolutely get hit. These are really easy to attain boots. You get them out of Wormrest Accord Revered. So yeah, super easy rep to grind. You just throw the tabard on. Then I'm rocking a deflection band. This dropped out of Next 10. You know, hit, dodge, and defense. All incredible stats, strength, you know, you're just getting more attack power. Can't go wrong with the deflection band. It's a great ring for Prot Warrior. And then I bought the badge ring as well, because again, we were short hit in our pre-raid bis. Anywhere we can get hit, we're going to stack it. So the first 2 items I recommend any protection warrior buy from the raid badges is actually the ring and this cloak over here, the platinum mesh cloak, because you get a great breakdown of avoidance stats while also getting hit on both items. So these are probably like 2 of the better items to get with badges. As far as trinkets go, you get this bad boy out of Violet Hold, increases your shield block rating by 74, and it increases the block value of your shield by 440 for 40 seconds. So I actually macro this into my shield block ability. I'll show you that macro in a moment. And it ensures you get massive shield slams every time you press that shield block ability when this cooldown's ready to rock. Then I run the Essence of Gossamer. This is just an entirely passive tank trinket. It's a massive amount of stamina. And when you're struck in combat, you have a chance of creating a little shield. Apparently it procs a lot. So Essence of Gossamer, if for nothing else but that 111 stamina, is super awesome for Prot Warrior. But yeah, it's overall really good. And then as far as weapons, Red Sword of Courage, you're going to upgrade this with the Axe Off KT in Nax 25 eventually. You can see I threw a budget attack power enchant on there for now. I didn't feel like wasting money on Mongoose. I haven't had any trouble tanking with this gear yet, so I wasn't going to like go out of my way to drop gold on the enchants here. But Red Sword of Courage is awesome. You grab this out of Utgard, and yeah, just grind it every day until it drops, because this sword is pretty dope. Then the Skull of Ruin. This is a sick shield. You know, it drops off Nax 10 off Grobulus. It's got a ton of block value and shield block rating. Bigger shield slams. The shield out of Culling a Strat is really nice too, but it only gives you hit, but none of the shield block rating here. I'll be honest, I'm so close to hit cap. You know, I don't want any more. I'd rather have the bigger shield slam. So I hit this with the titanium plating as well to ensure that when I'm coming in to shield slam somebody, I'm getting the absolute most out of that shield slam. And then this takes us over to what I consider the BIS weapon for PROT warriors, which is the engineering gun, armor-plated shotgun. I bought this off the auction house. I think they're like 300-400 gold on Sulfuris right now. You can see I threw a budget stamina enchant in it. Got 6 more stamina by throwing a blue gem in it. Increases your defense and your hit rating by 18. And again, hit is a factor on PROT warrior. Get it on every piece that you can get it, where you don't sacrifice any defensive stats. It's awesome. So that's how I personally gear a PROT warrior. You can actually see I have the wrong ammunition in, and I don't even have any bullets, because we don't pull that way. We charge in and we absolutely level mobs with our shockwave and our shield slam abilities. So that is how I personally have geared my PROT warrior. Again, I've tanked all the content in this game. Does not take a ton of gear to do that. So don't be shy, right? Even if you're still in blue gear, throw it on, get in that Nax 10, get in that Nax 25, stand in front of Patchwork. You're going to be fine on a PROT warrior. You have a ton of physical mitigation. You can tank anything in this phase. Absolutely no problem. All right, so that's gearing. Let's jump into our macros, okay? Now, the first one I'm going to show you is this shield block macro. It's absolutely necessary. It's, as Jorge Masvidal would say, it is super necessary. Now, what do I do here? I have my shield block. I have my shield slam. And with this trinket, we're actually going to add our use 13. And I keep defensive stance in there because I have it on my arms macro too. That's probably why I took use 13 out, is for arena. But I'm keeping it in because I've been playing a lot more protection warrior lately, and I don't want to have to press my blood rage macro to use my slot 13, which is my trinket. So what this macro is going to do, I hit this right before I engage the mob, as I'm charging over, and it's going to pop my shield block and my trinket, and then I hit it again, and boom, I'm going to shield slam that mob in the face for over 10,000 damage. Super necessary macro. You absolutely need this. You can see my this moves us over to our heroic strike and devastate macros. It's very simple. I'm just adding start attack here, and I have stop casting in case I wanted to queue heroic strike, but you really don't need to do that. You're always full on rage. Devastate is just start attack. I keep start attack in all my abilities. In heroic strike and cleave, I have a stop casting in both. So if I feel like I'm low on rage when I hit those buttons, I can stop casting them, and it'll just white swing instead of hitting heroic strike or cleave. Now from there, I'll show you the rage macro. This one's pretty simple. It's just using my gloves, using my trinket, and using blood rage. In PROT, this use 10 isn't doing anything because what I engineering enchant with as protection is the armor enchant. But in my arm spec, when I hit this blood rage macro, it actually uses my engineering gloves as well for the haste enchant. So that's how I actually proc my haste enchant. I know we're talking protection here, but I felt like I had to validate why this use 10 was here. Now you're gonna see the shield wall macro. I throw shield wall, spell reflection, shield block, defensive stance in a macro. This is just in case I'm not in defensive stance and I need to, you know, spastically hit it. Let's say I hit retaliation into the shield wall macro because things are going really bad. That's why defensive stance is in this macro. This is a good macro to have. My spell reflect macro, you'll see I have a stop casting macro in there. Again, also defensive stance in case I have to, you know, spastically hit spell reflection when I'm not in defensive stance. You're very rarely not in defensive stance as a protection warrior. So, you know, it's more of like a safety net to have these in your macro, but you definitely want stop casting in your spell reflection macro, because if you're doing anything else, right, have heroic strike queued up, something goofy like that, which you do have queued up quite often as Pro Warrior, this will stop that heroic strike queue and instantly cast spell reflection. If stop casting's not in there, it's not going to cast spell reflection until heroic strike or cleave go off. So those are the main macros. Let me show you the retaliation macro as well. You've seen this in one of my other videos. We're going to cast retaliation / cast battle stance. If you're not in battle stance, it'll turn you into battle stance. You hit the macro again, it'll then retaliate for you. So those are the main macros, right? There's not too much that changed from our pre-patch video with regards to macros. It's pretty simple, right? Pretty simple and to the point. One thing I will show you for PvP, I do have a hamstring macro somewhere. What did I call it? I called it ham. There it is. So what I do is I send the warrior, I send my warrior into battle stance, not berserker stance. And then I cast hamstring, and then I'll hit either my taunt, which I always macro defensive stance into, as you can see, or I'll just hit, you know, one of my 9 other defensive stance macros. Depends on where my head's at. If I know revenge is up, I'll just hit my revenge macro because I have defensive stance in that too. So I make sure that I can always get back into defensive stance on PROT, because that's the stance you really want to be in. If you're ever out of it, you know, you're probably doing something wrong there, or you hit retaliation, and, you know, it's nice to have defensive stance macroed into 11 buttons to get you right back home. Let's talk consumables. I didn't say we were going to do consumables, right? But let's talk consumables for Protection Warrior. They can go a couple different ways. So what I like using is an indestructible potion as a pre-pot in every fight. This gives me more survivability. And on top of that survivability, it's giving me more attack power. So I'm actually doing more damage. I pre-pot one of these when I'm tanking, and then I pop another one during the pull. It just gives you more damage and more survivability throughout the fight. These are great, and they're relatively cheap. They're like a gold or 2 each. So you can buy, you know, a couple stacks of these every week just by doing 1 or 2 dailies. Then I also use Flask of Endless Rage or Flask of Stone Blood. So if I'm doing Nax 25 patchwork, I'll have a Flask of Stone Blood on. Any other boss in the game, I'm probably just rocking Endless Rage for more attack power. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Attack power is king. You do more. The best defense in this game is a good offense. The faster you get out of these fights, the less mechanics you have to worry about. So I like to pump. You know that from all my other videos, from the way I played Kebab, from the way I played Arms and so far in Phase 1, from how I'm playing my Rogue. I like doing a lot of damage. I like my tanks to do damage. If I played a healer, I would try to get the most damage out of my healer. That's just the way I play this game. Flask of Stoneblood is 100% not necessary on every fight, but Endless Rage is a nice little boost, right? So you're going to get the most attack power out of this flask. So patch, yeah, I'll drop a Stoneblood on just in case. But outside of that, you know, I'm mostly rocking Endless Rages, just like if I was DPSing, because I'm still DPSing on a PROT Warrior, right? At the end of the day, you know, you're just also taking the hits from the boss. You still want to do the most damage possible. Now, that leads us into our rotation. The rotation for Protection Warrior is pretty simple, but it is a little bit intensive as far as like key presses go, especially when you use the Red Sword of Courage, right? Or the Last Laugh as the 25-man axe off KT. These weapons have fast attack speeds. So what that means is you can queue many heroic strikes. And you can basically be heroic striking all the time. So like when I tank patchwork, the first thing I'm doing is I'm bringing him in with like a ranged taunt, or a heroic throw. Heroic throw is even better, So let's erase the range taunt. Heroic throw him, generates a ton of threat. He's coming to you across the river. I would usually charge to him, but because of the river, it's a little bit of a weird pull. What you're going to do there next is shield block and shield slam him directly in the teeth. That's going to generate a ton of threat. You're going to rend him. I know that sounds really weird, but you're going to rend him for your assassination rogues, especially if you're the only rogue or the only warrior in the raid. You're not going to count on a crit or deep wounds. You're going to actually hit rend, and then you're stacking sunders. So get up to 5 sunders as fast as possible, and you should have a shield slam proc or 2 by then, and you're just shield slamming every time it's up, queuing heroic strikes throughout the entire process, which it's a lot of maintenance. There is the more heroic strikes you do, the more threat you're going to generate, and on any fight in Nax, to be honest with you, you literally have 0 chance of losing your rage, right? Like you're going to be rage capped for the majority of these fights because you just generate so much rage as protection warrior with a fast weapon that you want to make sure you have a heroic strike going every single time you can afford it. But your priority is literally shield block into shield slam, sunder to 5 stacks, get 1 rend up for your rogues, and it's just heroic strike like crazy. I personally also like to demoralizing shout and thunderclap because it just gives me something else extra to do, and I have no chance of dying with those abilities on the boss, those debuffs on the boss. So I rock those too. If an AoE opportunity presents itself, I'll shockwave, but I'm really not even shockwaving in single target right now. I just prioritize shield slam in single target. It's the best threat in the game, and you're going to do an absolute ton of damage. I think all my parses are purple and orange on Protection Warrior right now, and I'm following that goofy little rotation, right? Oh, one thing I didn't say was rend. So I prioritize shield slam, then rend, as far as like damage goes. Or, excuse me, revenge, not rend. So yeah, I probably just confused everybody pretty heavy there. But shield slam, revenge, those are your 2 big damaging abilities. Keep heroic strikes going the entire time, and let's get those 5 stacks of sunder up for the boys. Thunderclap and demoralizing shout. So the you are immortal. Those are 30 seconds. Really, warrior's just about juggling a bunch of dots, right? Think about demoralizing shout and thunderclap as dots. Think about sunder as a dot. You know, you're just juggling those dots while shield slamming every single second that it's up and revenging as much as possible. Yeah, after your initial, like, you know, sunder stacks, you really don't have to devastate too much. But that's PROT warrior. It's a feel, right? It's not a perfect priority, but you're gonna do a ton of damage, right? If you listen to my ramblings, you'll do a lot of damage rotationally on your protection warrior. That brings me into engineering. I'm also Saronite bombing and sappering wherever necessary, right? If I can fit it in on a trash pull, I'm gonna sapper. If my sappers are on cooldown, I'm gonna Saronite bomb, because it's just more damage, right? At the end of the day, the more damage you do, the faster you're gonna get out of raid. So guys, I've gone through Protection Warrior. I feel like I was very in-depth. I may have rambled a little bit, but I want to deliver quality content to my viewers. I want them to feel confident on their warriors going into Phase 1 Wrath of the Lich King and playing through this phase. Guys, if I can tank everything in, you know, a couple blue pieces and some nice pieces, you can do the same thing too. Don't let your guildmates tell you that you cannot play in any reindeer games. You are not Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You are an absolutely massive protection warrior coming in, doing big damage, big threat, and you're unkillable too, to top it all off. And every melee in the raid loves you because you're sundering and making their life so much easier. They don't have to sunder or expose because you're there. You're the king. All right? So listen, if you made it this far through this Protection Warrior Ultimate Guide, I thank you. Subscribe to the channel. Have a beautiful weekend. Have a beautiful day if you're watching this during the week. And yeah, tomato sauce and out. God bless. Thank you so much for watching the channel, guys. Subscribe. Send this to your friends. Send it to your family. Send it to everybody. All right? We need subscriptions on this channel. We're over 1,400 right now, and I appreciate all of you. Have a great day. Have a great night. Have a great year. God bless.